On a quiet Saturday evening in November of 1977, something interrupted British television. There was no emergency alert, no warning tone, no loss of picture, just a calm, delivered voice that did not belong there. And for nearly 6 minutes, it spoke to hundreds of thousands of viewers. This is still Unexplained, brief explorations of unsolved mysteries. My name is Mark, and this is the story of the Vrillon Broadcast. At approximately 5:10 p.m. on November 26, 1977, viewers watching Southern television in the United Kingdom were tuned into the early evening news. Andrew Gardner, the anchor, was calmly delivering the day's headlines when the audio signal suddenly disappeared. The image remained perfectly intact, but the sound was replaced by a voice. It spoke slowly, evenly, without emotion. It identified itself as Vrillon, a representative of what is called the Ashtar Galactic Command. It warned humanity that it stood at a crossroads, that violence and aggression threatened not just Earth, but other worlds as well. It urged listeners to abandon weapons and prepare for a coming awakening. The message lasted nearly 6 minutes, and then it ended. Normal programming resumed. Almost immediately, Southern television was flooded with phone calls. Some viewers were frightened. Others were confused. A few were convinced they had just heard something extraordinary. Engineers quickly attempted to explain what had happened. The most common explanation offered was a signal hijack, a hoax. Someone, somehow, overriding the station's audio feed. But that explanation, when examined closely, raises more questions than answers. You see, in 1977, television broadcasting was not digital. There were no computers controlling feeds. Signals were transmitted using powerful analog radio frequencies, relayed from a primary studio to regional transmitters through a series of microwave links. Southern television relied on the Hannington transmitter, which rebroadcast a signal it received off-air from another station. This created a vulnerability. If someone could transmit a stronger signal on the same frequency close enough to the transmitter, they could override the audio. In theory. In practice, pulling this off would have been extraordinarily difficult. First, a hijacker would have needed a transmitter powerful enough to overwhelm the original broadcast system. This was not consumer equipment. It would have required industrial-grade transmitters, directional antennas, and technical expertise typically limited to broadcasters, military personnel, or highly specialized radio engineers. Second, the timing had to be exact. The transmission occurred during a live news broadcast. The hijacker would have needed precise knowledge of the broadcast schedule and confidence that their signal would not drift, distort, or fail mid-message. Third, the signal override was clean. There was no static, no distortion, no background noise. The voice came through clearly and steadily for the entire duration. That suggests careful calibration, not improvisation. And perhaps most telling of all, the hijacker only replaced the audio. The video feed was untouched. This is significant. Hijacking both audio and video would have been easier. Overriding only the audio required a more delicate and controlled interference, one that took advantage of the specific way the transmitter rebroadcast sound. It suggests someone who understood the system intimately. After the incident, authorities investigated. No arrests were made. No suspects publicly identified. No one ever came forward to claim responsibility. Not immediately. Not years later. Not even anonymously. This silence is unusual. Most broadcast hoaxes seek attention. They escalate. They repeat. They brag. The Vrillon Broadcast did none of that. It happened once, then vanished. The message itself adds another layer to the mystery. It was not frantic or theatrical. It did not threaten destruction or demand obedience. It spoke in measured language, as if it expected to be heard and considered. Some dismissed it as a product of its time. The late 1970s were filled with fascination around UFOs, New Age spirituality, and Cold War anxiety. A fabricated extraterrestrial warning fit neatly into the cultural landscape. Others found it unsettling precisely because it avoided spectacle. It did not sound like science fiction. It sounded like instruction. Over the decades, theories have multiplied. Some believe it was a work of highly skilled radio hobbyists operating illegally. Others suspect an insider with access to broadcast infrastructure. A few believe it was an experiment, psychological or technological. And some still believe the message meant exactly what it said. What remains unsolved is not whether the voice came from space. It's why no one ever claimed credit for pulling off something this complex. A hoax of this magnitude would require skill, planning, and risk, and yet it brought no fame, no profit, and no recognition. Just 6 minutes of calm warning, and then silence. The Vrillon Broadcast endures not because of what it said, but because of what it demonstrated. That our system can be interrupted, that authority can be mimicked, and that sometimes the most unsettling mysteries are the ones that arrive quietly, speak plainly, and leave without explanation. This has been Still Unexplained. Thanks for listening.